It's Davy. Davy Alba, tech
Hello.
reporter with Bloomberg. Currently not suspended, but we'll see when the night leaves.
I
Um,
locked my Twitter, so hopefully that helps somewhat. But I just wanted to be the person who reads out the latest that's happening. Elon Musk, in case people on this Spaces didn't know, is running a poll right now about whether he should unsuspend accounts who doxed his location, he says. And there's like 11 minutes left on this poll, 10 minutes now, and it looks like the vote that is winning out is that he should unsuspend accounts now. So I don't know. I mean, there's been a lot of reporting about how these polls are very susceptible to manipulation, but I think we'll see if he actually, you know, goes by the vote. Anyway, just wanted to let you guys know that that was happening.
it's important to get the word out there to vote. No, it is unclear whether or not these polls are really something that action is taken on, but I know that Jason Calacanis had joined in this chat, and I'm hoping he will come up here and maybe he has some insight
Maybe he can
about
maybe he
that.
can correct the pronunciation. Or did you nail his vowels?
Oh, I will go rogue on those vowels, Ben, or should I say bean? I'll do I'll do anything. I'll do twisted weird things to a vowel. I'm sorry. It's a Massachusetts thing. You can't ask more from me. Um, I'm curious about Elon Jet. Do you feel personally responsible for Drew and Matt getting banned?
No, I mean he's just going out of control, banning people everywhere left and right. I mean, they're just doing their job reporting, and it's.
I mean, they are. They're just going about their jobs, reporting. Kate, I'm hoping maybe you have some insight about what's going on right now.
I have just from I'm not even going to name their names, but from past trust and safety heads of trust and safety at Twitter, I wanted to give people a hard answer on the DM question because I think that this would be incredibly anxiety producing for a lot of people. But the answer is 21 to 30 days is the normal server two-sided if you've deleted on two sides, and otherwise it's forever. But if you've deleted on two sides of DMs, with 21 to 30 days was actually the hard number of days that your data would live in DMs on Twitter. And honestly, the bet from the people that I've talked to is that it's maybe forever at this point, because maybe he's prioritized turning off that automatic. Elon has prioritized turning off that automatic deleting function on server side information. But I did want to say that I stand by the Stored Communications Act legal analysis from the Berkman Klein Clinical Center that would trigger a bunch of more robust legal functions to the extent that matters at this point. But yeah, anyways, the actual feasibility of deleting things is around 21 to 30 days.
Is in terms of deleting things, like, how should anyone feel? Worried?
I mean, yes. I mean, that's much longer than that's much longer. Unfortunately, that's much longer than my account was Ben's account, Ben Collins' account earlier. Like when he was up here, I was like, yeah, I've heard 180 hours. That was the number that I'd found out, and then I went and just kind of asked some of my sources, and they were like, no, that's not exactly right. And so I think that's really terrible news. Like that's awful. Yeah, I think that in terms of safety for people on this site, that's terrible.
So I would love to hear right now, Jason. Your bio reads "World's Greatest Moderator." As
I'm
such,
happy to help you. I can
shed
help
a
you with
little
this.
light on
Well, no,
what's
I'm not
happening.
going to
right now.
answer. Yeah, well, let me make just one thing clear. One, don't work at Twitter, and I don't speak for Twitter. Number two, I'd just like to ask a question, but I won't answer any. I'd like to ask the person who runs ElonJet, if, God forbid, somebody was actually attacked and hurt or killed, how would you feel about running your service?
I really don't think that's going to happen, with the amount of security Elon has. And, if someone really wanted to do something, they would be well able to without what I do.
Okay.
Jason,
Well, hold on, Katie. I'll ask the question again. But what if it did happen?
Jason, let me say this. So I feel
No, let him answer the question. If somebody was actually
we'll
harmed,
let him answer.
Yeah. Let's ask him.
The question is, how would he feel if someone was hurt? I mean, like,
yes, I'm saying hurt or killed. Yes,
he would feel bad.
No, let's let him answer. And how old are you, sir? How old is the person who runs ElonJet?
Dude, I'm not answering. I know you're close with him. No comment.
Okay, so you won't answer the question. Okay. Now let me ask. Hold
Jason,
on. I'll ask another question. Drew, hold on. I'll ask another question. Drew, are you there?
Hi, Jason.
How are you, sir?
You gonna ask me a question?
I would like to. May I ask you a question?
Okay, guys.
I would love to.
Guys,
okay, great.
Let's bring the temperature down. It's really late on
Drew,
on the East Coast.
Drew, if somebody who's being, real time doxxed like this was hurt in your family, how would you feel about this?
Jason, so let's understand. You're using the dox word, I think, incorrectly.
Okay, but let's say, let's take doxing out. If a person who was tracked and then a crazy person showed up and it was a member of your family, how would you feel?
Okay, so Jason, let's walk back and use facts in what we're talking about.
No, I want you to answer my question because
I'm giving you facts.
What you're going to do. As a journalist, I'm a journalist. I have been a journalist my whole life. I'm asking you a human question. As a human, if a family member of yours was attacked, God forbid, because you as a public figure were being stalked or tracked or whatever words you want to use, how would that make you feel, Drew?
As a human, if there was publicly available flight data showing I landed at LA Airport, a giant airport in a giant city, and then somebody jumped on my car hood 24 hours later, somewhere else in Los Angeles.
I'm asking you a hypothetical because
I'm giving you real facts for what we're talking about. And you're speculating on other issues.
Yeah, I am. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm asking you if somebody in your family, not you, and somebody in your family was tracked multiple times a week, and then they were hurt, they were physically hurt as a result of that, how would you feel as that person's relative? I'm asking you that question.
Yeah, you've asked that question about 5 different times, and you haven't engaged with the actual facts of what we're talking about at all.
I'll answer a question if you answer mine. How about that?
You'll answer a question now?
No, I'll answer it after you answer mine, if you're intellectually honest. Because what I would like to know is we know as a society that if people are persistently tracked, whether we want to split hairs on whether it's the word doxing or stopped or persistently tracked with publicly information, and I'm taking Elon's plan out of this. I'm just talking any of us because you and I are also public figures. And so I'm asking you as a public figure, do you have a family? Do you have kids? Drew?
Jason, let me just hop in
Hold
here
on,
really quick
Drew,
because
let me have a
no.
conversation with
Let
Drew.
me say this. I think
Drew,
that
do you have children?
I
Drew, do
think
you have
he does.
children?
I
Okay,
have
Drew,
four,
then
I
answer
have
my question.
Jason, stop
I
it.
have
No, I'm not going to stop. Drew, do you have children?
I have
You're
43 children.
You're being outrageous.
Okay.
I have
No, I'm
43
not. I'm
children.
asking you a
Enough to
question
fill
as
a
a
plane.
human being.
You're
Drew,
posing
Jason, I
speculative
think it's
questions and not engaging with the facts, Jason.
Jason,
And
it's
I
you
reasonable
keep
to
want to engage
assume
back.
that
I want
everyone
to talk
here
about
would
the bigger
not like
picture.
it if their family was murdered, right? Like that's
No, I'm
reasonable.
asking
And
a
I also
more
hold on,
specific question.
Jason, I think that there is a compelling reason, and I think many people in this chat would absolutely agree that there's reasons that the Elon jet was suspended, right?
Well,
Like
let me hear
there are
Drew say
clear-cut
that.
reasons. However, the reasons for suspending the journalists like Drew, like like Matt Binder, who were merely reporting on the existence of this account.
Yeah, I
That's
don't want
the
to
one
talk
step
about that
forward
issue.
that everyone
I don't want to
is
talk
trying to
about that
figure
issue.
out.
I want to talk about the big picture issue. And
So
that's what
just
I
to be
think
clear,
is
you don't want to talk
intellectually.
about the fact.
The big
Okay,
picture
Jason,
No,
Jason,
isn't
I
whether
think
or
you've
not
talk
talked
Drew
about
enough.
would like
the
his
big
family
picture
murdered, though.
with you, Drew. And I'm
Yeah.
asking you one question. You have
Okay.
children. I have children.
Yes.
You
Okay.
are a public figure. I'm a public figure. Let's talk about the big picture for a second here. Let's level up the discussion. Let's not
Okay,
make this
Jason. Here,
about
Jason.
suspensions or public data. Let's make it
Okay,
about personal safety and the society we want to live in. You have
Jason.
children. I have children. You are a public figure. I'm a public
Okay.
figure.
Yeah,
If
All
you
right.
and
Jason,
I
you're
were being
talking
stalked,
to a
let me
room
let
of
me finish my
people
question.
who
Let me
many
finish my
people
question.
in
All right.
here have been
I can't wait.
fired
Hold on.
I'm excited.
Everyone needs to let Jason finish this question because it could take up to 90 minutes for him to get it
I
out.
guarantee
But
you it'll take
Jason, let's
60
hear it.
seconds. 60 seconds. You and I are both public figures, on a minor level. You and I both have children. If one of our children, if we were tracked multiple dozen times per month, and one of our children were hurt, how would you, Drew, personally feel about that?
Jason, I'm going to drop a truth bomb on you. I wouldn't like a loved one to be hurt. What I'm trying to pose to you is that you're not engaging with the facts of what's happened this week. This is
So
publicly.
what should society? Okay, I understand it. We all know it's public. So what should society, as a society, how should we look at a person like you or I being tracked multiple dozen times per month, whether it's public information, if it's somebody on a Vespa following us around? How do you think society, Drew, should handle this new wrinkle? This is something new in society. I can't think of another example of somebody being
Jason,
followed on
this is
one
not
account and
new.
being tracked dozens of. Okay, give me an
Every
example.
plane you have been on has
No,
had
not
flight
planes.
data.
Not planes. I'm talking about individuals.
Not planes. We're not talking about planes now.
Okay,
I'm talking about an individual being tracked a dozen times or multiple dozen times per month.
listen,
Give me an
Jason.
equivalent in
So
There are
society.
you're
several
talking
people
about a
in this
totally
chat.
different instance than what has
Yes,
happened
I'm
this
talking
week.
about.
There are many people in
No,
this
it's
Okay.
not.
chat
It's the same.
How
who
about we
experience
focus?
doxing
You
and
know it's the same
swatting.
thing,
No.
Drew.
Okay.
Like,
This is
All right.
stalking.
Jason,
It's stalking.
Jason, you're connecting quote unquote stalking with an account that shared public flight data. Every plane you have been on has had flight data. If you've been on Flight Radar 24 or Flight
Of course.
Aware or looked at ADSB data.
Your ticket is not on there. So when I look at a flight on there, Flight United 105, I don't see that you're on that flight. You know that's intellectually dishonest.
Jason, can I jump in really
Okay.
quickly, just the quick thing, just to add, if that's okay? So a few months ago, I did a story about a website that stalks and harasses people and sends them death threats and does terrible stuff to people, right? That if we're asking societally what we should do about this, I think handling those kind of websites would matter. And then you know what happened to me? Those people went after me and my family. And I don't have billions of dollars. I have, my mom's a children's librarian, Jason.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, Jason.
Yeah, I'm
Jason,
sorry.
it's all right. My mom's a children's librarian. My dad works in some other
I've
thing.
had it happen to me
It's
too.
fine, and it sucks. It does, and you know how powerless you feel when that happens. Because you can't stop it, because that's how the internet works, and the push to get that information in front of bad people who will do something about it is really bad. But those very same people love your guy. Those people really hate me, obviously, because I just brought up the concept and the existence of that website. But they are rooting for your guy to win. And I don't know how you square that, really. I think it's tough. Like it's really
Can I ask you a question,
Yeah, of
Ben?
course.
And I'm sorry, I'm very sorry that you were stalked and your family was at
Yeah, sure.
risk.
Yeah.
Do you consider what these tracking, whether it's a person's plane or their boat,
Sure.
do you consider persistent tracking of individuals? Do you consider that analogous to stalking?
Well, I think that like with planes, right? We need to know where they are so they don't crash into the planes, right? That's
not talking about those. I'm talking about personal planes. I'm not talking about the jets where 300 anonymous people are on that. We both know that. But very specifically, if a person is tracked dozens of times a month, do we want to live in a society where then that person's family is at risk? You just went through this.
Yeah, no, I think all of those things are bad, but I also think that shutting down journalists that report on that kind of thing doesn't help. And I think that I want to add too that like I don't know, I'm not an FAA guy, Jason. Like as you probably can tell, I don't know anything about how that sort of thing works. I'm assuming that those need to be tracked for reasons that are, just for air traffic control reasons. I would hope so.
Of course,
yeah, right. Yeah. So I don't know how you debadge them. Logistically, I don't know how that would work necessarily, right?
Let's assume there's some technological solution to this. But what I can tell you is when you've been on the other side of this, as you have been and I have been, your position will change immediately. And if you have experienced a stalker, if you've experienced somebody telling people your location over and over again, and in your case, Ben, I am very sorry that it actually went after your family. Drew, you said you haven't had this experience. I can tell you, everybody on the stage, the
not what I said.
Okay, well, if your family has been through this, I'm very sorry. But if you've had people stalking you, you know how terrorizing it is. And as a society, we need to look at new forms of stalking, which is what these jet trackers are. If they were going after
as a society, can we look at the implications of just being repeatedly lied to again and again and again? I mean, Elon Musk over and over again on Twitter today is saying that the people who were suspended revealed his exact real-time location, which is a lie. And lies, which are being promoted by him, are putting people in danger. Lies about Paul Pelosi, all sorts of lies. So why is all of the discussion about this very specific incident about private jets, which is not something that a lot of people can relate to because they're not flying on private jets, but we aren't addressing what is the real issue here, which is this platform is being taken over by repeated lies. These journalists who were suspended did not reveal his real-time location. So why can't we start with that and think about where that puts us as a society instead of just being gaslit again and again and again and again? I mean, it's just insane. Like, why are we putting up with this?
The question we're having is, what kind of society do we want to live in? And that discussion is, do we want any individual, a journalist, an executive, a billionaire, a poor person, anybody in between? Do we want anybody, does anybody on this panel put aside who is being discussed here, whether it's Ben the journalist or Elon the CEO, put aside all that and just ask yourself, do you want people to be tracked dozens of times a month?
Why are you assuming that no one on this, why are you assuming that no one in this discussion can relate to this except for you?
No, I didn't.
You're talking to a room of journalists. This happens all the time. And the privilege that some.
Do you want to live in a society where people are systematically tracked?
All right, Jason.
We already live in that
I'm
society.
one of the co-hosts here. Judd, hold on just one
hey,
second.
Jason.
I'm going to take over.
Okay, yeah. Okay, goodbye, Jason. Because I see Elon Musk was in this chat.
Handle.
Hi, Elon.
Listen.
One, I don't think anybody in this room supports stalking. I'm sorry to hear about what happened with your family. Do you have evidence connecting the incident in LA with this flight tracking data? And separately, if this is an important enough issue to you, why not enact the rule change on Twitter and give accounts like Jack Sweeney's time to respond to, like you said, a slight delay in providing the data? Why say last month that you would support keeping his account online for free speech and then immediately suspend not just his account, but journalists reporting on it.
I just real quick, Elon, thank you for joining. I am hoping that you can give a little more context about what has happened in the last few hours with a handful of journalists being banned.
Well, as I'm sure everyone who's been doxxed would agree, showing real-time information about somebody's location is inappropriate, and I think everyone on this call would not like that to be done to them. And there is not going to be any distinction in the future between journalists, so-called journalists, and regular people. Everyone's going to be treated the same. You're not special because you're a journalist. You're a Twitter. You're a citizen. So no special treatment. You dox, you get suspended. End of story. So and ban evasion, or trying to be clever about it, like, oh, I posted a link to the real-time information, is obviously that is obviously simply trying to evade the meaning. There's no different than actually showing real-time information.
So when you're saying posting a link to it, I mean, some of the people like Drew and Ryan Mack from the New York Times who were banned were they were reporting on it in the course of sort of pretty normal journalistic endeavors. You consider that like a tricky attempt at ban evasion?
You show the link to the real-time information, ban evasion, obviously.
Drew, I don't think you were posting the real-time information, right?
I mean, you're suggesting that we're sharing your address, which is not true. And you're suggesting that we're posting. We never. I never posted your address.
You posted a link to the address.
We posted a link. In the course of reporting about Elon Jet, we posted links to Elon Jet, which are now not online and now banned on Twitter. And Twitter also, of course, marks even the Instagram and Mastodon accounts of Elon Jet as harmful. Using, we have to acknowledge, using the same exact link blocking technique that you have criticized as part of the Hunter Biden New York Post story in 2020. So what is different here and there?
No more acceptable for me. It's no more acceptable for me, for you, than it is for me. Same thing. So anyway.
So it's unacceptable what you're doing?
No. What you dox, you get suspended. End of story. That's it.
Elon, I have to ask, I mean, I think what everyone's wondering is it's highly unusual for journalists at the Washington Post and the New York Times to have their Twitter accounts suspended. And it just so happens that it's, the boss in charge, so, what's the deal there? Oh, I think Elon has left. I guess
that's unfortunate because
the answer.
Yeah, I mean,
guess what the difference is there.
Man,
not trying to.
So many. I was raring to go, guys.
I know, I was too.
I was going to order a Cybertruck.
I just want to say, sorry, I don't want to browbeat him. And this is reporting, right? There is value to reporting where people go. Most of what Elon Jet shared was him going to the factory in California or the factory in Texas. If you're an investor, or when we did our story on Elon's jet, we found a lot of interesting things, including that he was riding a private jet for 15,000 miles while saying he was an environmentalist. There is reporting value in public data. So now that it's being framed as doxing, which is not how we would have ever defined doxing, I think it's worth questioning. I'm sorry that he left before we could talk more about it.
Well, I don't think he's really interested in answering the questions, but I also think that it's interesting that if we want to have a discussion about people's personal safety and how it relates to what's posted on social networks, people with the resources of Elon Musk, who have access to private jets, security, all the things that come along with that, are not the people who are most at risk and most vulnerable. And I think that's what's so disturbing, is that it's basically the rules of the website are now being geared around this very specific use case. That's not even the people who are really at risk.
Brian, you had wanted to come back.
Oh, Katie, I just wanted
curious.
to say thank you to Katie on behalf of the 31,000 people
You
listening.
are welcome.
Seriously, Katie and Drew, you have just attempted one of the first interviews of Elon Musk since he took control of this platform. So kudos to you.
Yeah,
both.
no one has pressed a button like this in a while.
And all we had to do was get banned for it.
Yeah, all you had to look. I'm not even banned, and somehow. You see, here's the thing: you just have to, everything in life you can get by just posting constantly, and you just have to make a Twitter space and sit on it for like 2,
That's right.
3 hours.
That's
Just
right.
wait and wait and wait, and eventually the guy who owns the site shows up.
This was a global
grill
scoop. A global scoop. Congratulations. Hats off to you.
Well, here's the question, Brian. What's the scoop, right? Like, what did he say that is like the newsworthy thing? Like that clearly it's very personal. There's very personal concern about his safety and his family's safety, and this has touched a nerve. Like, hey, everyone involved in life would like their family not to die, so that's relatable. But like, what was revealed that we didn't know?
I don't know if we knew this or not, but I think it's as simple. I think it's as simple as what you just said. People searching for a deeper meaning can go away, realizing there is no deeper meaning to this.
It's very existential.
No, I really know, Brian, I think you get a point, which is, we've been covering the same stuff for a long time, which is that, like, for this is it's going to be framed tomorrow morning on Fox and Friends as the man protecting his family from the bad guys online. And like, sure, I wish I could protect my family also from the bad guys online. But at the end of the day, this guy has authoritarian control over this website when, simultaneously, they're complaining about the previous rule of the website, which was, kind of annoyingly bureaucratic. So if anything, I think that's the deepest crime of the stuff that we've uncovered so far. So I'm with you, Brian. I think that this will there are two different media universes here. Tomorrow we're going to wake up and there are going to be people who say this guy banned journalists and this is an assault on democracy. And then there's going to be this other side, which appears to be slightly smaller but very big, that says, this man is protecting his family and doing everything he can. And he bought this website to do it. So
that's right. And
that's what's going to happen.
And Ben, wasn't he also feeding the trolls by coming in here? And isn't it kind of amazing that he doesn't have his own ability to just take over this chat? That Jason and Elon cannot just totally hijack this chat. Katie is still in charge. God bless.
It's just her raw power, her dominating speaking voice.
It's like how the Joker runs Arkham Asylum. It's like the real Nightmare Squad over here. And Commissioner Gordon and his crew can't really do much.
Can I add something really quick that I'm laundering from my coworker Will Aremus, who's going to have a story about this in the morning on WashingtonPost.com. But one interesting thing that jumps out to me about this conversation, I guess you could call it a conversation with Jason and Elon. They're espousing the view that online speech can lead to people being endangered in real life. That is something that has been debated by the free speech crowd, right? There have been people on the other side who have contradicted that, argued that. And, I'm old enough to remember this last weekend when Yoel Roth, formerly of Twitter, who Elon Musk said had high integrity in October, had to leave his house because Elon was tweeting innuendo that he was sexualizing children, and Yoel Roth had to leave his house because of baseless, totally bogus claims that Elon was sharing on his own platform. So for Elon to make these giant policies and suggest that, that this is doxing and we're posting his address when we're writing, it's just, I think the reality of the difficulty of content moderation is maybe getting to Elon. I mean, Elon said several months ago that he would only ban things that were against the law, because he is a free speech champion. We have obviously seen that not be the case in the last couple of weeks and months. So yeah, this is just the latest chapter of Elon doing, as Mike Masnick said, his speed run through content moderation.
Yeah, I mean, I think too that, like, one of the complicated things is that there's simple things, and then there's another layer that's like slightly different, but kind of the same neighborhood, different address, right? So like, what happened was that Elon Jet was doing something that, was tweeting this public information, and it's public flight information. Hey, anyone can go and look at a public flight information stuff. Just like anyone can Google, like, where someone's address is.
Let me clarify.
Please do.
Oh, I didn't know I was on. Sorry. Yeah. So I mean, like, even what I'm doing is tweeting the jet. We know he owns the jet, but going back to Jason, he's saying, like, I said no that he's on it. There's multiple flights where I even know that he's not on it. There's been maintenance flights, and I can't say it literally says Elon Musk jet. It doesn't say Elon Musk is on this jet arriving now. I only know so much what the public data says, and that's what I'm sharing.
But to be fair, to be a little, like, to be a mini Jason here, like, there's you got to have known at some level, like, there's a little bit of a taunt going on with tweeting not a taunt per se, but like, you can sort of understand why you're banned, right? Or where you're suspended. I think everyone kind of gets it. Like, we might be splitting hairs about exactly why, right? Like, but I think everyone kind of, it's understandable. The stuff about why journalists writing about it get banned, that's another layer. That's a few blocks over in the same neighborhood, right?
Sure.
And then, but there's other things that, and this is sort of tied into what you're saying, that, like, before that, he tweets and fuels conspiracy theories about a former employee who is a public person, and that, has made that it's easy. He might, Elon Musk might not have tweeted out the address of this person's house, but it's pretty easy to find that out. And, like, if that person is being named by the big guy in charge as, like, this is a bad person, there's consequences to that are, like, kind of complicated. So, like, it's the moderation speed run, right? Taylor, I feel like you probably know some things about this. Like, I was talking about you particularly earlier, because one of the sort of, like, literal product level things that's going on with Twitter is that, like, there's no moderation or whatever in what's going on in the trending topics. And yesterday, your name was a trending topic in a way that was inciting harassment of you. And, like, in a properly moderated technology platform, that shouldn't have happened, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think the trending topics, the incentive, like, the whole way trending topics works is definitely fundamentally broken. And it's just so rich to hear him complain about doxing and harassment. I mean, I am doxed and harassed constantly on this app. And I mean, that doesn't mean that I think everything needs to be moderated more heavily, but I do think users deserve more control over their own experience. It's just weird because definitely in the past few weeks, for instance, people tweeting out stuff like information about my family or all of the stuff that's been used to target my family directly in the past. Like, I've reported it and the reports go nowhere. Like, the tweets go nowhere. No, it doesn't seem like the woman that I used to reach out to when this stuff happened at Twitter has been let go from Twitter. And I just hear this from a lot of people. So I feel like Elon is very focused on his own experience, but for the rest of us, it's definitely become a less safe platform.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it definitely seems like it is the kind of thing that's like, oh, doxing and inciting potential like violence and harassment is bad. Yes, that is correct.
Katie,
Like,
no, Katie, I think what's really fascinating about this whole thing is that the drumbeat of the stuff that we've covered over the last few years, the fact that there is the infamous maple cocaine tweet, which everyone should look up if you haven't heard it. Every day on Twitter, there's a main character, and the goal is to never be it. That is the ethos. That is like the it's the thing that they would put on the plaque as you enter Twitter, the physical space, if it existed, right? And that's a large technological problem that a lot of people like Joan, who are in the chat, have spent years doing academic research, trying to refine, trying to figure out what's the best way to handle this. What's the best way to make it so people don't post your family's address? What's the best way to make sure people aren't literally demonized to the extent that Taylor has been, and that Taylor has been specifically, that they have been specifically targeted in these ways. And guess what? All those people are gone from Twitter now. The people who listen to those academics, the people who have the ability to make that change, instead of dealing with it like a scalpel and talking about it like it's work, it's just been replaced with a big old hammer. And that big old hammer does stuff like this, but only for the powerful, only for Elon, only for the people around him. And that's the issue here. People in general, I think, were looking for solutions that helped everybody relatively democratically. But that has been viewed as censorship of the masses or something, instead of academic research that could be applied to make it so people don't have even the impetus to track people as they walk down the street or whatever. So if we really want to have that conversation, it's a much bigger conversation than should we allow somebody to track somebody's jet. The conversation is, should we have real life adult conversations about what speech means on the internet? That to me is the much more important thing. But even just bring that up, I get, there's like Fox News articles written about me, and, Taylor's in the New York Post for, something she ordered on Grubhub or whatever. So like, that's like, even bringing up the concept is viewed as like soft or stupid or something. But it's actually the work that makes it so it never gets to a crisis point to begin with. Oh no, I killed everybody with my speech.
No, it's okay.
No, I'm here.
I agree with you, Ben. But
I agree.
So, like, let me talk about like the harassment. In terms of harassment too, like, I mean, I think like it's fine to ban like family info, but let's talk about like the media's role in harassment too. It's not just Twitter. It's CNN reporters in their newsletter writing lies, or it's Fox News or whatever, right? Like all of those things kind of lead to journalists being villainized. But I agree with you that we need some sort of standard way of reporting bad stuff. Like, I mean, I think him dismantling the whole trust and safety team is obviously a disaster. But I don't know. The main character thing is just as much of a problem on TikTok, in my opinion.
Definitely true. And that's the other thing that we're not talking about, because we're all old people. We're having this conversation, and here we all are a bunch of olds like this, and kids are just like rifling through TikTok right now with absolutely no care in the world about what's going on this website.
Well, I think that TikTok, Taylor, I feel like you're more of a TikTok expert here about stuff but TikTok is so much more like heavy-handed and mercurial about how it does moderation, where like people kind of just, everyone on there knows that you could get banned at any moment for doing anything, and it's very confusing about what you may or may not like either have a particular video taken down or your entire account suspended. Like everyone on there kind of knows they're on the knife's edge, and it reminds me a lot of like this an interview with the now I think deceased founder of Something Awful, who had sort of described the moderation policy there, which was like the reason that the moderation, like, it was a good community on there because they were like, we will ban you if we don't like what you say. We will ban you if we don't like what the weather's outside. Like, we will just ban you because we feel like it, and we won't tell you, and we don't give a shit. Like, we just, we wield the ban hammer like whenever we want. And weirdly, that made for, because it was small, it made for a good community because people just got banned, and the sort of community values of that worked. But I do feel like with Twitter, it's kind of everyone's like you could just get like disappeared at any moment and there would be no logic behind it other than maybe you said the words like sexual abuse or something like that, right? And that I don't think is a better version than what's happening on Twitter, where like there
Well,
was at some point attempts at logic behind it.
yeah, I will say that but TikTok almost never bans people for harassment. Like they will, you're right. Like you can say the word Nazi, as I did in a recent video, and get flagged and your video will be removed, which makes it very hard. And they're not as bad as Instagram. Instagram is by far the worst in terms of moderation and just how heavy-handed they are. And I hate that. I'm very against a lot of that stuff. I'm very for free speech, despite what a lot of Fox News says. But I think, I don't think it's that easy to get banned for harassment on TikTok, just because, like, you know how it is. It's like there's a main character on TikTok, like everyone's making videos. Yeah, maybe like the meanest 2% will get deleted, but like who the characters are on TikTok every day. You know what I mean, Katie?
Yeah. But it does. Yeah. Like the idea that like, I don't know, that like it feels like TikTok is like you're kind of walking on spongy ground where you could fall into the quicksand at any moment. And for a while, it felt like everyone kind of knew what the rules were on Twitter, right? Like they were kind of clear, and the people who got banned usually kind of deserve to get banned, And today, with Drew and Matt Binder and Ryan Mack and a few others getting banned, it definitely felt like, the logic of how we're operating here has all of a sudden just fallen through. Like a little bit unclear what's going on now.
Yeah, I feel like these bans are just so arbitrary. And the fact when I saw that Drew got banned, Drew, who obviously has been so brilliant up here, is just like one of the most even-handed reporters. Like I would expect me to get banned before Drew, so I think it seems
Ryan Mack, it has been deserved to be banned for years now, and frankly, I think we all appreciate that it's finally caught up with him. He tweets about his
Leave
cat,
Ryan
tweets about
alone.
soccer, and no one wants that.
He does that thing that they do where he'll tweet like "Blimey" at like 7 a.m. Like what's wrong? What's going on, Ryan? And they just realized that like Arsenal is playing or some, it's the worst. He really did. He deserved that. He deserved a ban 2 years ago for that.
Right. Ryan Mack is, of course, an excellent journalist who is a tech reporter at the New York Times, formerly at BuzzFeed News, was a coworker of mine. He's wonderful. We love him. He's been banned or suspended. It appears that it's a 7-day suspension. Drew tends to not be as much of a little piece of shit on Twitter. So it is a little bit surprising, unlike Ryan.
I'm honestly pretty boring. I don't think I'm really worth the cancellation, but yeah.
Can we ask Drew? Drew, it's been a couple hours. Are you still fully suspended? Because we know that Elon is out there doing polls now, asking how long this should last for. Like, give us a real-time update. Can you access anything?
Let me test. No, I am still suspended. I have 0 following and 0 followers, and I can't tweet anything. But I can still read.
The suspended user told us that live on Twitter?
Yes, but I'm speaking from beyond the grave. I guess spaces are allowed. I don't know exactly why.
Well,
this is my first time.
I think that's probably
in purgatory. Yeah, it seems a little buggy, but I'll take it.
Drew, in solidarity, tomorrow you can text
Maybe we're all
me.
dead. Maybe this is all the simulation. Maybe Elon was right all along.
That's the way all my accounts are too. The exact same.
We will all tweet tomorrow in memoriam of you.
Yeah, I just want to add, we're journalists, like we can kind of take this. This kind of like arbitrary, capricious management actually worries me more about the people who don't have big platforms and rely on Twitter for doing their own community journalism, doing, advocacy, activism, right, whistleblowing, right, all sorts of important things where they don't have, a bunch of great reporters and editors and listeners and have a platform, but like are trying to like the fact that they can just sort of be wiped off of Twitter by the owner who can change sort of policies willy-nilly. I think that's again, that undercuts the whole vibe and mission that Twitter has been pushing for years. And it's kind of unfortunate if that microphone gets taken away from all these people who could really use it.
Elon has talked about wanting Twitter to be a platform for citizen journalism, which, it seems like is, the kind of thing that this is, not a good move for.
Well, Katie, one of the notable things he said in response to you was journalists will not be treated any differently than anyone else, which, okay, that makes sense, but that's obviously a critique of the past management when Twitter badges and other things, look, I know from personal experience, if a major newsroom emailed with a problem about some stalker Twitter account, that email was taken seriously. And I am sure there are other Twitter users who did not benefit in the same way. So by all means, let's make this more of a level playing field, right? But his comment, I interpreted as very much a critique of the past management team.
Well, I think it's a critique of the media, Brian, right? Like it's just a grievance. Like he just doesn't like that journalists, he feels like, receive any preferential treatment, whether it's warranted or not, right? Like, I don't even know if it's the management. I just think obviously it's the management.
Yeah, I think it depends on what you mean by journalist and who you define as journalist. And that's an interesting conversation given what's happened this month. But we're seeing a lot about what's in his headspace. And by the way, the fact that he left this chat so fast is so interesting. He has spent he spent a greater amount of time, let's just say, in other Twitter spaces. But for some reason, Katie, Drew, he did not like your questions.
I know, I mean,
Shucks.
Don't you guys just want to think about something else, by the way? I just we just went through 5 years of trying to get in somebody's headspace, and now we're just doing it again. We're just rehashing this thing. Like,
I got to dip, but bye, guys.
All right, bye, Taylor. I'm just saying, like, I'm going to go too, actually. I literally have not eaten dinner because of this. This is a very whole stupid thing that I have to deal with. But we are, once again, spending all of our time psychoanalyzing one guy and trying to figure out as Drew said, capricious decisions that he makes that, try to make larger political points and kind of fit in with, larger with a political idea that he's trying to push. But I just don't want to. I don't know if we have to.
I hear
Katie,
you.
take it away. I'm going to get out of here. I'll see you guys later. You're all wonderful. Bye.
Bye. I hope you eat whatever it is that is the giant plate of like strange sloppy noodles that you see.
He's gonna get a chop suey sandwich.
I'm gonna get a chop suey sandwich, and it's gonna be so good. It's the ones that I bought when it closed down in June that I've been keeping in a large freezer.
I'll see you at the Willows on Christmas.
See you at the Willows, Joan. Bye.
You got it, Ben.
I do. I guess it's getting late. But Elon Jet, Jack, I am sort of curious. Like, hearing Elon speak to you directly about this, like, how do you have a different sense of what his concerns are? Like, he clearly was very concerned for his personal safety. Did you come away with some empathy for him?
Concern. I just right now there's so much going on. I really just gotta that was crazy what just happened too. I don't want to try and evade your question, but I'm just I see where he's coming from.
If your account was reinstated, would you continue to do it?
I'd have to think about it, and I really don't know. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
Hey, Joan, can I just jump in? I don't want to speak for Jack, but I just want to add a couple facts into the conversation. Well, Jack told
Yeah.
me and others he started these accounts because he was a fan of Elon Musk.
Yeah.
He was able to pull public data, again, that's still available online for not just Elon's jet, but every jet, and use it, you know, in the way that aviation enthusiasts and hobbyists do all the time about every jet. Remember when Nancy Pelosi flew to Taiwan and people were tracking that jet? You know, it's a simple. So I just want to, you know, I think Elon is trying to make this conversation about stalking and whether anyone wants violence against people's families. That's not anywhere near the case. Jack has never said anything like that. This was using data in a way that is very tantamount to reporting. It's journalism, right? It's sharing public data about a public figure online. So I don't want to willfully abide by this mischaracterization of doxing, right? Elon's address was not shared. This was public data in the same way that you can go on to Flight Radar 24 or Flight Aware and see planes flying across the sky right now. So I also want to bring up, you know, when
Yeah, I
Jack,
think that's very true.
yeah. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt for Jack, but I also want to say too, you know, like as this is happening, I mean, I was reporting on this, so I was able to sort of tick through it in the timeline. Jack's accounts were mysteriously suspended out of nowhere. We didn't realize that the rules had changed. Twitter had not announced that these rules had changed. When I talked to Jack, he was mystified by what had happened because literally last month, Elon said, I'm going to keep up the account that tracks my jet because I support free speech. So
And then
as far as, yeah.
It took hours for the story to come out. I really am mystified as why you would wait to release the story that he's come out with.
Yeah, and you know, I remember seeing it while we were covering this too. Like, Jack's account was brought back online. It was restored very briefly, and Elon said, "Okay, I'm not going to tolerate doxing. I don't want real-time information. I only want information on a slight delay." And Jack even tweeted back, "Okay, what does a slight delay mean?" Jack was trying to abide by Elon's newly changed policy, like newly changed within the last day. And there was no, you know, I think Elon suggested like maybe a day or something. Anyway, I just want to say Jack was not given the chance to abide by this new policy that Elon changed within a matter of hours. This was not willfully flouting the rules. This was a policy that was changed that no one knew, and then all of those accounts were banned. And now, of course, journalist accounts are banned for writing about this whole episode. So Elon's trying to make this about doxing and stalking. That's not it. This is about sharing public data and rules being changed out of nowhere and it affecting journalism and the sharing of public data in a reporting way.
I mean, like, I don't want to. I feel like this is a trap question, but like, Jack, I mean, like, this is a case where like you were tweeting this public airline information, but you tonight had a moment where like Elon essentially personally told you, I don't like it, please stop. Like, does that change how you think about doing this?
You know, just because there's always going to be people in the world that don't like something you're doing, and you know, I'm a fan of them, but I'm not going to stop doing what I enjoyed. I've said this even back in the day when it first came out. It's the same case now, and it really hasn't changed since.
And like you're a fan of him, like lots of people are. Like, you started because he's an exciting guy, and like, I don't know, like, has the mission now become greater?
I mean, I'm not going to say it's literally just to track the data. That's all I'm here to do. I'm not like going against him or anything.
Well, I mean, but like, to some degree, he kind of has been like, please stop. Right? Like,
oh yeah, we know. Yeah, we know that.
Yeah. I mean, Drew is not going to stop reporting about Elon Musk. I know that. He, not even banning him, sorry, not banning, suspending his account. Somehow Drew rose from the ashes of the suspension to come into a Twitter space, because apparently you can still do that when you're suspended, to be able to then directly ask Elon questions about it. But